recording, and here we go. 3, 2, and 1. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the Morning Hustle. Is a director who is giving us countless classic documentaries, man, things that really stick to your ribs. I mean, some of his work, Four Little Girls, When the Levees Broke, A Requiem in 4 Acts, Slavery by Another Name, and Sammy Davis Jr., I Gotta Be Me. He's back with a brand new one that is definitely going to have the people talking. MLK Fbi. Ladies and gentlemen, Sam Pollard's on the line. Good morning, sir.
Hey, man, how you doing?
Everything is well, man. First and foremost, man, got to clap it up for you, not only for what you contributed to the culture ahead of time, but this new project is some really eye-opening stuff, man. What made you decide to get the wheels turning again and crank out another one?
Well, this one, my producer and I, my producer, Benedine, and I had read this book by David Garrow about MLK being monitored and surveilled by the FBI and J. Edgar Hoover. And we thought it'd be a great film to do, sort of dig into Dr. King on a different level and break down the mythology of the FBI. So that was sort of the motivation. So we reached out to Garrow, and he said yes to us doing the film and doing an interview with him. So we interviewed him, and then that was sort of the beginning of the whole process.
Got you. Now, for anybody who, knows how much, we as a culture love Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., man, he was loved by us amongst the culture, but he was definitely viewed as a villain to the establishment. And that's one thing that this documentary really points out, it's a matter of perspective. What was it that, in your opinion, made them fear this man so much?
Well, here it was. Here was a black man at the March on Washington, basically standing before thousands and thousands of people saying, I have a dream that this country will become an integrated, melded society. And lots of people, specifically lots of white people were happy with the way it was, basically us black people being on the fringes. The only time you saw black people in movies or in television was either as maids or butlers or the butt of jokes. Now, he was a black man saying, I want all people to come together. I want integration. I want black people to be integrated in society. So that scared the bejesus out of people like J. Edgar Hoover and the FBI. So they felt like we need to monitor this guy because they called him, this is fun, this is real strange to me. They called him the most dangerous Negro in America. That's like this nonviolent minister who basically never did anything really, physically radical. They thought he was a real sort of problem. He was going to be a real problem.
And to hear those words come out of someone's mouth is a stark contrast to the man that we seem to know. About unity, peace, unification, moving the ball forward, and he's viewed as a threat. Now, do you feel like J. Edgar Hoover's pursuit of MLK had a lot to do with jealousy, more so than fear, or you think it was fear over all things?
I think it comes from the idea that he saw black people in a certain role. He grew up in America where black people were supposed to be, seen but not heard, man, and not seen a lot. And so all of a sudden, here's a black man who's standing up, who's being very vocal, who's being very active and saying, we need to break down the barriers of segregation and Jim Crow in America. And this had to frighten this man, J. Edgar Hoover. I mean, as you know, it frightened many white people. I mean, if you go and you watch the film, when they're doing these man on the street interviews and they're asking these people what they think of King to white people, white guy says, J. Edgar Hoover says he's bad, but I think King is 10 times worse. And then this white lady says, I don't like him because he's too uppity. What does that mean, man? The fact that he could speak up, he was too uppity?
It's a forced narrative.
Yeah, and then this lady on the television show asked Dr. King, don't you feel, Dr. King, that these peaceful protests are causing the violence in the cities? Haven't you heard that before about Black Lives Matter, man, and the fact that, aren't they causing the riots in the cities? And then she asked Dr. King, don't you think your people are moving too fast? We've been in slavery for 200 years. We've been dealing with Jim Crow for almost 100 years. We're moving too fast now to ask for integration. It's craziness, man.
It definitely sounds like something that would come out of the mouth of somebody who is privileged and doesn't necessarily understand the plight. And a lot of those things in your documentary, like what you're saying about the Black Lives Matter movement, it mirrors today,
Yeah.
And, when you look at the things that the FBI was doing back then, illegal by, by
Completely
all
illegal.
types of, like frames of the law. And I can only imagine they're probably still doing worse stuff to this day.
Well,
You hear.
that's right, because think of it. James Comey says in the film, he thinks this is the darkest chapter in the history of the FBI. Now, I would say there's probably other dark chapters in the history of the FBI, But the thing is kind of fascinating though is with Trump being in the White House for the last 4 years, he's been such a anti-FBI person. It's made me think maybe the FBI isn't so bad. If Trump hates them, they can't be all bad.
Well, it sounds like something a criminal would say. a true criminal would hate the FBI at the level that Trump does, as he tries to pardon himself on the way out. So of course he's going to try to get rid of these people. But I mean, when you're doing the research and you're diving deep, what is the most eye-opening thing that you saw while you was putting together this documentary?
The most eye-opening thing, quite honestly, was the fact that there were these moments where you saw King's humanity, where you saw him with his children and his Coretta Scott King and his parents, and those kids were playing in that little playroom. The stills and the foot stills of him at dinner table or playing outside with his son, those were like nice moments where you saw a different Dr. King than you normally see, in the archival footage. And the other footage that was really fascinating was the footage of James Earl Ray in the custody of Scotland Yard after he was, picked up and arrested, after he assassinated Dr. King. If he assassinated Dr. King.
Yeah, the jury's still out on that one, right?
He's not sure that he was. Yeah. So, it's when you're doing a documentary with archival footage and you find a really good archival producer like we had, this gentleman, Brian Becker, they can turn up things that you never thought existed. That's what's really amazing about documentary filmmaking.
The beauty of it too, man, is just like, you get to see all these still photos like in normal life, like aside from the documentary, like him older, you know what I'm saying? Like, kind of like in his early 30s. But, the footage that you captured of him with him being so young, you forgot that at one point in time, like he was just like, this baby face, guy who was a man of the people just getting ready to start his, his thing in motion. Because I believe the documentary starts off when he's like 27, I believe, right?
Yeah, when he's at the Montgomery bus boycott. You see, he's a young looking, good looking guy.
Yeah.
You don't see King like that normally. You don't think of King like that. You think of this elder statesman. And the reality is, King was only 38 years old when he passed away. I mean, he was still a young man.
A baby in some people's eyes, people who get to make it to their twilight years, 33 is just so young, and to be able to accomplish so much and leave such a lasting memory and legacy. Indeed, indeed. So, going from this thing to the next thing, right? It seems like as time goes by, there's like more people that, fall into a space and place of a leadership role. How strong do you feel like Martin Luther King Jr.'s message is and its significance of that message is in 2021? Do you feel like it's diminished at all as time has gone by, or you think it's strong and as potent as ever?
I think that's a good question. I think that, that's a complicated answer for me. I mean, I think in some ways there's still people out there who are really carrying on this message, like Reverend William Barber, down south. He's carrying on Dr. King's message of nonviolent change, of, looking at people in terms of not only race, but economic and social issues. So the message is still out there. I think we're living at a time now where, we as a people are a little more angry, and even angrier and more cynical than we were maybe 30, 40 years ago. So our level of patience, quite honestly, man, has started to say, whoa, we're not, it's really up to here. We've had it up to here with all this craziness in America. So it's a different world, but I still think that King's legacy is still has relevance, in both the North and the South.
Indeed. Now, the FBI and the CIA and all these different organizations, they let their files be made to the public after a certain amount of time. And there's a lot of, incriminating things in a lot of these documents, which is shocking to me because they're so covert. It baffles me that they would even share these things with the public. Do you truly feel like we know everything? Or do you feel like there is some things they kept for themselves?
Well, I would say this. Let's see what happens if these tapes are released in 2027. how much is there, how much, I mean, when you get the transcripts of these things, some of them are heavily redacted. So let's see if they edited the actual tapes when we get those, if those are released. We'll see. I mean, listen, and I know that these organizations have deep, in their caverns, material that probably we'll never hear or see. So it'll be interesting to see what they release and how much of it they release to the public.
Indeed, indeed. But we definitely want everybody to go check out this documentary. It's called MLK Fbi. It drops on the 15th. If you're seeing this after the fact, where can people stream it and and support the cause?
Well, it'll be on IFC streaming services after the 15th, and I mean, that's where it's going to be playing. I mean, it's playing around lots of, and whatever theaters open around the country, there'll be some opening screenings where you can go see it. But just check your local listings, man. It'll be playing everywhere.
There it is. Now, a man like yourself, who is in the movie making business, how do you feel about the state of the business as it is right now? People a little apprehensive about walking into the theaters, but there's still some stories to tell. What's the last movie or documentary or whatever that made you get up out your house and go to the movie theater?
Well, that's been so long, man. I don't even remember now. It's over a year. I've been to the movie theater in a year. I can't remember the last movie I saw in the movie theater, quite honestly. I can't remember.
So you're playing it all the way safe.
Oh, yeah, man. Well, there's no theaters open in New York.
Okay. Every city is different, man. It's crazy because
where are you?
I'm based in Atlanta, and Atlanta is 2018. Everything that you can do in 2018, you can do it in Atlanta right now.
So theaters are open, huh?
Theaters are open. People eating at restaurants, much to my chagrin. I don't participate in a lot of it. I took my kids to the drive-in the other day, just because I'm a movie guy. I love going to the movies, and I just be rocking back and forth like, yo, what screening would probably have the least amount of people in it? And I'm like, you know what, kids, get in the car. We're going to go to the drive-in. You got to wait till it gets dark, but it is what it is. So I didn't know New York was completely shut down like that.
What'd you see at this drive-in?
I took my kids to go see The Croods, A New Age, because it was like the only thing that I could take my kids to go see. Like, I wanted to go support my man Michael Ealy's new movie Fatale, but it looked like there was gonna be some killing in that, and you
can't take your kids.
Kids ain't ready. But
what about Soul? You take them to see Soul?
We watched it on Christmas morning. Because that's an HBO Max streaming situation. So we watched it on Christmas morning. The kids loved that. But I cannot wait to pull up with the kids on MLK Day and sit them down so we can watch MLK Fbi, man. Like, you can't ever forget your past and the things that we went through.
I mean, on the personal note, man, have you seen the Five Blood Spike's film?
Yes, absolutely.
Right, cool. All right.
Fantastic movie. I mean, anything Black cinema, I'm here for it, man. And I'm here to support it at the highest level, man. And once again, I can't salute you enough. You have such a gift and a talent of like weaving stories together and making it entertaining and educating at the same time. Edutainment, dare I say.
Good, thanks, man. Congratulations on Warnock and Ossoff winning the Senate, man.
Yep, we had to work hard for it, man. We had to work hard for it, but hopefully we get them there, keep them there, and make some real changes, man. So thank you so much, my brother.
You good, man. Thank you so much.
God bless you, man. Sam Pollard, he is the director, man. Be sure you check out MLK Fbi streaming on IFC. And if you have opportunity to go support it, video on demand style, please do that, man, because it takes money to make these movies. Peace and love.
Thanks, man. Have a good day.
You too, man. God bless.